Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive deep and unpack the incredible wisdom hidden inside a series of timeless devotional verses. Now, these aren't just pretty lines of poetry. Oh no, they actually offer a whole philosophical framework that can totally change how you see the world and, your place in it. Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to walk through this wisdom in 5 main parts. First, we'll talk about this idea of seeing the divine literally everywhere. Then we'll get into the actual path for connecting with it. After that, we'll look at why having a guide is so important and the power of the company you keep, before we get to the really big one, figuring out the difference between what's real and what's just an illusion. So first things first, we're starting with the absolute foundation of this whole worldview. And it's a big one. The idea that the divine isn't some faraway thing up in the sky, but it's actually woven into the very fabric of everything around us. And it all kicks off with this beautiful verse. Just the sound of it is amazing, right? But the meaning is what really cracks open a new way of thinking. It's basically a massive philosophical statement disguised as a simple, humble greeting. So here's what it means. The real key here is that word Siya Ram. It's actually 2 names in one. Siya for Sita, representing that divine feminine energy, and Ram for the divine masculine. So together they mean the complete divine force that makes up everything. The verse is basically saying, because I see this divine unity in the whole world, I greet everything and everyone with total reverence. And what's so powerful about this is how it completely shifts your perspective. I mean, think about it. If the divine is in the person sitting next to you, it's in the trees, it's in every single part of your life, well, then your relationship with the world has to change, right? It becomes one built on humility and a real sense of connection. Okay, so that leads to the next logical question, doesn't it? It's one thing to get this idea in your head, but how do you actually feel it? How do you make that connection a real, living part of your experience? And you know what? The verses don't leave us hanging. They give us an answer. They lay out a really clear path to close that gap between knowing something and truly feeling it. And that path is devotion. This next line is, wow, it's so direct, so powerful. It doesn't mess around at all. It gives a really clear, even if it's challenging, instruction for anyone who's looking for that deeper connection. So the translation really shows you the intensity here, forsaking everything else, and day and night. That points to a single-minded, unwavering focus. This is not some casual hobby. It's being presented as a total, all-in commitment. So here's the crucial point. This idea of bhajan, or devotion, is way more than just going through some rituals. It's about reorienting your entire being. It's about making a conscious choice to focus your mind, your love, your energy on this higher principle instead of getting pulled in a million directions by worldly stuff. This idea of such intense focus, it can sound a little lonely, can't it? It kind of begs the question, is this a path you're supposed to walk all by yourself, or is there some help available for the journey? And yet, the verses have a clear answer for that too. They put a huge amount of importance on the role of a guru, a spiritual guide or a teacher who can life up the path ahead. This verse just expresses that reverence so beautifully. Again, you've got to love the poetic imagery. This is not just a simple thank you to a teacher. It goes so much deeper than that. I mean, the metaphor here is just stunning. Lotus feet are a classic symbol for purity and wisdom, but bowing to the pollen from those feet, that suggests you want to absorb even the tiniest, most subtle essence of that wisdom. It's all about profound humility and just being open to the teachings. And this is why a guide is so critical. On a path that's full of tricky ideas like illusion and reality, they give you clarity. A guide is like a lamp in the dark. They offer support, they answer your questions, and they keep you inspired when the path gets tough. Okay, so we've got our core belief system, and we have a guide to help us along. But what about our everyday environment? What role does our community, the people we surround ourselves with, play in all this? Let's explore this really powerful idea that wisdom isn't just something you learn from a book or a teacher, it's something you literally absorb from the people around you. Now, this is one of the most famous verses from this tradition, and for a very good reason. It makes a really bold, no-compromise claim about where true wisdom actually comes from. The key word here is satsang. It literally means the company of truth. It's all about associating with people who are good, who are wise, and who are on a similar journey. And the verse is crystal clear. Without this kind of company, true vivek, or discerning wisdom, is pretty much impossible to get. This is all about actively choosing your influences. You know the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? That's basically it. Good company works like an antidote to confusion and negativity. And as another verse says, where you find sumati, or good sense, which you often find in good company, all kinds of prosperity and well-being just naturally show up. Okay, this brings us to our final and honestly our most profound theme. After we've figured out how to see the world, how to walk the path, and who to walk it with, the verses give us the ultimate destination, learning to tell the difference between what's real and what's just an illusion.
This verse just lays it all out there. It draws this final, stark contrast. The line is split perfectly into two halves that represent the two opposite poles of existence, at least according to this philosophy.
And this table just illustrates that core difference so brilliantly. On one side, you have Jagat Sub-Sapna. The entire world is like a dream. It's temporary, it's always changing, and ultimately it's illusory. It's the main source of all our distractions. But then on the other side, you have Sat Hari Bhajan. The only truth, the only Sat, is devotion. It's presented as the one and only thing that is eternal, constant, real, and where you'll find true peace.
And that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to chew on. I mean, if you take this perspective seriously, that our daily life, with all of its amazing highs and terrible lows, is really as temporary as a dream, how does that change your priorities? How does it affect the way you deal with your successes, your failures, and how you treat other people? That right there is the central question this wisdom really wants us to think about.